I am passionate about what I do and passionate about getting people to the closing table.
Thank you so much for coming in today, joining us for the first episode here. Excited to get to chat with you. Obviously know you a little bit, but excited to get to dive deeper into kind of your journey through real estate. So before we get into real estate, though, could you just tell me, who is Breydon as a human being? Who are you? How would your friends describe you?
Well, that's probably a lot. First of all, thank you for having me. Glad to be here. So Breydon is a hairstylist. So I've been down here for 25 years. I've had my own salon for 15 of those 25 years. So that's what I do. I love helping people. I love helping people feel beautiful about themselves. And that's who I am before this.
So you've kind of always been, well, at least for a long time, entrepreneurial minded. Then, talk to me about that, like the beginning. So you became a hairstylist, and then, so it was about 10 years you opened up your own salon. Is that right? Okay, so tell me, what was it that kind of inspired that?
It was a lot of different things. I do have a business degree with a fashion merchandise option, and I started out in retail, and I quickly decided that's not something that I wanted to do. So I decided to go back to school. I had actually taken real estate classes a long time ago and didn't take my exam because I was in a small town. I was in Bellefontaine and didn't have any intentions of being there. I needed a paycheck. I needed steady income. So it just wasn't something that I was ready to do at the time. So I went back to school, started doing hair. 25 years later, I still love what I do. It's kind of surprising because I'm an all or nothing person. I'm either all in or I'm all out. So for me to love what I still do 25 years ago, over 25 years, it means a lot to me.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what are some of the parallels that you see between being a business owner with your own salon and then being a business owner with running your own real estate business? What are some of the parallels and some of the differences between the two?
Some of the differences are, in a hair salon, you're seeing clients, multiple times, throughout the year. And with real estate, you may see them once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime, not nearly as often. The similarities are, it's the same gratification within me to helping people feel good about themselves and finding their perfect home for them, and the feelings that they get from finding, the perfect home. And so there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Awesome. And I know, so running your own salon, has that led to any clients in the real estate space before?
It has. Lots of my referrals come from hair clients. Their family members, and such. I thought I was getting away from being the therapist so much coming into real estate, and it's really a lot more, managing highs and lows, managing expectations of a real estate business. So it's a little bit more intense than being in a hair salon. They're bigger problems. It's major purchases. It's, one of the biggest purchases of their whole entire life. So there's a lot more managing their emotions than what I had anticipated, but I'm used to this. I do it all the time, and it's been great.
Yeah, a lot of it managing emotions, and you've already got experience with that from your role as a hairstylist. Right. What's the story of how you got into real estate? So what motivated you to pursue real estate? You're a successful hairstylist. You run your own salon. What was the motivation to finally get that real estate license and pursue that career?
It was kind of one of those situations where, like I had said before, I had taken real estate classes, before I even did hair, before I even went to school to do hair, right out of college. And so I always knew that I had an interest in real estate, but the time wasn't right. So fast forward to now, I've been doing hair for 25 years, like I said, and I still love what I do, but I think a little bit of the passion over the 25 years has dwindled a little, not terribly, but a little. And it seems to be a little concerning. And being your own business owner, we love what we do, so therefore you probably work your whole life doing what you love to do. And the realization of, I can't always stand behind the chair 12 hours a day and continue to do hair, for the long term. I have no intentions of leaving at the moment, but I can't necessarily stand here at 65, 70 years old and still do hair 12 hours a day, but I can still sell houses. So this was kind of my long-term transition into doing real estate full-time at some point in time, but I don't know when that is.
Gotcha. Okay, so what do you think separates you from other real estate agents? How do you focus on going above and beyond for your clients?
As I said, I'm an all-or-nothing person, so if I'm in, I'm in. I'm in to succeed. So I'm very passionate about the transactions that I do handle. As a listing agent, I'm very passionate about what someone's house looks like, how it's being presented, the marketing of it. I do have a business degree, so therefore I've had marketing classes. I often have people come to me and say, your Facebook pages, your marketing are so awesome, and that means a lot to me. But it's just part of who I am, and so I'm very passionate about representing the client, getting what's best for them, and making sure the house looks exceptionally well, so it presents well.
Yeah. So do you think that your background in being a hairstylist, do you think that has led itself to helping you in the marketing space when it comes to the real estate side of things? I know you said that your clients have always commented on how great your marketing looks. Do you think that design, the way your mind works when it comes to styling hair, do you think those kind of go hand in hand?
There is a creative eye that comes with marketing, doing hair, seeing the interiors of homes. I'm not necessarily an interior designer by any means. I can't always put something together. I just know what looks good and what doesn't look good. So I think that all comes with being a hairstylist and having that creative eye to see and know what looks good and what doesn't look good.
Yeah. And how does your creative eye, how does that help you with your seller clients?
I think it helps me because because I have this creative eye for design and symmetry. I think that helps with the presentation of the house itself, whether it be needing somebody to come in and stage the house or using their own stuff. So I think that helps a lot I just somehow know what looks good and what doesn't look good.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that some people are just born with.
And that's hard to explain.
Yeah, and it is hard to explain. Like I said, it's something that some people are just born with.
Right.
They just know.
Right.
They just have that eye for, okay, we should adjust this, move this here, rearrange these things. It's going to make the space feel bigger. It's going to make the space feel more welcoming for people. I can't tell you the number of places that we capture photos for, and the house itself, maybe structurally it's beautiful, but the way that the inside is designed or lack of design on the inside, it's not doing it justice. And you make a couple small changes, and all of a sudden, people are willing to pay way more for the same exact house. It makes a huge difference.
A lot of that comes in with understanding color, knowing what colors go together, whether it be print marketing, whether it be interior of a house, whether it be accent pillows. I often look online at other listings and think, what would I have done differently in this situation, or why isn't this house selling, or so I think that lends a hand to what I do for my clients.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, you're doing research throughout the week, each week, looking at different places that aren't selling. What can we do what would I do to change this to get it off the market? Tell me about a client who really stuck with you. Could be buyer side, seller side, just a transaction that you'll never forget.
I feel like they all stick with you for different reasons. And not always something that, really stands out about them. It's the experience themselves, the interaction with them, the working together. But one of my first clients that I had was kind of wasn't really sure what they wanted. They were first-time home buyers. So we ended up taking them through 38 houses.
38 houses.
We ended up placing an offer on house number 38, and we still had to go see number 39 because this buyer still wasn't positive that the one that we put the offer on, she just had to make sure that this one wasn't. the one she wanted, and I was just like, we're in contract now.
Yeah.
So I think that's one that will always definitely stick out to me. But it was a learning experience, and they happen to be friends of mine. So, part of the job is showing houses, which I absolutely love. So it wasn't a bad experience at all. It was just one that I think I'll never forget. And when I still see them to today, we always kind of joke about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 38 houses. There'd be a lot of agents out there. When it came to house number 15,
Right.
they'd be like, all right, guys, let's make a decision. Or maybe now they're slower to answer the calls because they think the clients aren't serious. So
some agents are like, you get 5.
Yeah.
And if we don't find it, let's go to the new build and build what you want.
Yeah. Well, good on you. I mean, that shows how far you're willing to go for your clients to make sure they get the place that they want.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I love that. And your clients, I'm sure, that means a ton to them. What's a moment in your career so far that you thought, this is exactly what I'm meant to do? This is something that I love and something that I'm supposed to be doing for a career?
I get goosebumps when you ask that question because there have been a few moments. Some of those are the reviews that I get back from, buyers and sellers, how appreciative they are and how they realize the work that I've put in to get the house on the market, to give it in tip-top shape, to get it staged, so that it presents well, so that we can get out of it, what they're wanting out of the house. Recently had just had a review, and it was amazing and remarkable. I think it left a tear in my eye that, was an emotional moment. Another situation was, working with a buyer that I'm currently working with. We happened to get a house in contract, and it's a little bit of a different situation, but, we did get a house in contract. Unfortunately, we had to terminate the offer due to inspection. But, they have bought and sold many houses, and this is the first time that they have used me. And we got them in the contract, and she texted me and said, congratulations. She was just like, you did an amazing job. She was just like, you seem like a real seasoned professional. And those things mean the world to me because I do put everything I have into my clients and the transaction.
That's great. People don't always see all the behind-the-scenes work that real estate agents do. What's one of the behind-the-scenes challenges that you've taken on for a client in the past?
I had a client who had difficulty getting financing. She has assets and thought it was going to be as easy as calling the banker and say, hey, write me a check, I'm paying cash for this house. And that wasn't the situation. Due to penalties that she wasn't really aware of. So she had kind of given up a couple times. And I was just like, nope, I just feel like there's something out there. There has to be something. And I reached out to another mortgage company, and they were just like, of course we can help her. We have this program, blah, 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 blah. And we got her approved for the mortgage. We got her in contract, and we got her closed. And now she has her condo.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Real estate, as we've already talked about, can be pretty emotional at times. What's a past moment that you had with a client that kind of hit you personally or got you a little bit choked up potentially?
Listing a home for me is sort of like a dating experience. You get the house ready, you get it staged, you get it all put together, especially an empty listing. You get it all put together and you see the beauty of this house. It's an amazing house. And then, when it's finally time for closing, and I think I had captured this in a Facebook post, I stood outside and took a picture of it at night as I was putting the sold sign in it right before closing. And it was a beautiful night picture, and you could see the picture of the sold sign. And it kind of became a little emotional for me in that moment because it was just like, okay, I've now done my job and it's time to move on, and now there's a new owner, and it was kind of tear-jerking. A little bit. I didn't cry, but but it was a little bit of an emotional moment. And I, compared the situation to, you put all this work into it, and then you do your job, and you get the job done, and it's time to move on to the next person who needs you.
Yeah. what you're describing to me, it gives me the feeling of like at the end of the school year every year when I was growing up. You know, you put all this work into the school year.
Right.
End of the year comes and you have that bittersweet moment.
Right.
I feel like you probably go on this roller coaster journey with your clients,
Right.
especially if there are a lot of challenges that come up throughout.
Right.
So many emotions, and then you're closing the chapter
Right.
on it, and
Right.
it's probably a really special.
Definitely
moment.
a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
A good one though.
Yeah. For anyone who's watching this that is thinking about buying or selling, maybe they feel a little bit intimidated, daunted by the process ahead. What would you say to them?
This really hits home to me too because when I bought my condo, I had no idea what I was doing, and it was kind of a moment of I'm going to work really hard. If I can possibly get this condo, they were just being built, and they were close to where I worked. And I would drive by and see the construction of it and think, wow, I will have really made it if I could have something like this. And all of a sudden one day I just walked in. I don't know what took me there. I don't really remember those details, but I walked in and talked to the salesperson, and all of a sudden here I was buying this condo that I didn't really know what I was doing. So I really feel for the people's intimidation of the home buying process. I definitely understand that. And I feel like I can also help them through that through my own experience of purchasing my place. But it definitely was. I mean, it was do I now, 19 years later, think I made it at the moment? No, I did not. But it was a platform of my success that I have really appreciated and I'm grateful for.
What do you want people to say 10 years from now about working with you? Like, what would be a couple adjectives or sentences that you would like for people to describe about working with you throughout the real estate transaction?
I think I want people to realize that I really am there to listen. I've done 25 years of listening with hair clients. I really am there to listen to your needs, your wants, your concerns, and help guide you through that situation. You know, I want people to see that I am passionate about what I do and passionate about getting people to the closing table. It's not really just a transaction. It really is about the experience of finding the home that's for you.
Okay, and so obviously we've got the buy side and the sell side of a transaction. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part throughout the process of helping your buyer clients?
I think my favorite part with helping a buyer client is taking them on the tours, the showings of the houses, and seeing them just light up when you know you've walked into the right house that's for them.
Now, opposite side of the equation, what's your favorite part about helping your clients on the sale side of their home?
Helping a seller, I think it's more of that's where I can release my creativity with the marketing, putting the flyers together, putting the catalog together for the listing. That's where my creativity comes in. That's where I enjoy it the most, is putting that stuff together and using the creativity. Also, helping them get through the situation of listing their home so that they can move on to the next one that they're looking for.
All right. People see all these shows on Netflix, all the streaming platforms about what real estate is, right? Everyone thinks they know what real estate is because they've seen Selling Sunset or $1 Million Listing or any number of shows.
And it's not like that at all.
So explain to us, what do people think real estate is versus what really is the day-to-day of being a real estate agent?
When you're watching Selling Sunset, and nothing against that show at all, but there's beautiful women in high heels and short skirts and happen to be walking up to single men who have mansions and being like, are you interested in selling your home? And of course he's interested, right? It's not that like that at all in real world, especially in Columbus, Ohio. It's different. It's a lot of hard work. We put a lot of free work into what we do, planning and getting clients, social media. So there's a lot of quote unquote free work before you actually get paid.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand. They see these TV shows and they see the commissions on the bottom. One, these are places typically like New York or Los Angeles where the homes the prices for the homes are just nothing compared to what they are in Columbus. And so they see the commission, they're like, "Oh, that's all they did, and they made that much money. That's great." People don't see the behind the scenes work that you're doing every single day, where you're constantly posting on social media, you're constantly reaching out to clients, keeping in touch with clients, doing things for past clients to try to make sure that you can keep them as lifelong clients. And all of that is either a monetary investment or an investment of your time, which is even more valuable before you're even getting paid. You don't get paid unless on the sales side it closes. Well, either side of the equation it closes, and there's so many times where you probably put in 90% of the work to get that thing closed, and it still doesn't end up closing. And so you just you committed so much of your time and money, and aren't making a dollar from it.
And it's not about, as I said, there's a lot of things that we do to prepare for a listing. I currently had a listing that I was out, mulching the flower beds. This client had moved to California, so the house was empty. So I felt like the situation of the house was my responsibility, and that was maintaining it in the middle of the summer, right? The yards needed to be mowed. The flower beds needed to be tended to. And I was having a conversation with my mom, who was also in Columbus with me. And she was just like, "Are you getting paid for this?" And I was just like, "Mom, it's not really about, am I getting paid for mowing this yard or buying the mulch for this? It's the whole experience. Yes, I will end up getting paid in the end. But there is a lot of behind the scenes. There's a lot of free stuff that goes into, supporting your clients. And that's part of the passion of, wanting to help them."
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what's one thing that you think that every buyer client should know? Maybe something that you tell every buyer client at the onset of the transaction to be prepared.
I think one of the things that I think buyers need to understand is you don't have to have a lot of money in the bank to be able to purchase a house. There's a lot of people renting that I know could afford a house, and I think that's a lot of education going into it, whether it be social media, videos, what have you. I think there's a lot of education that needs to go into educating the public about the facts of real estate, the market, interest rates, why we're not going to get back to 3% interest rate again. Situation like that. So I think there's a lot of education that goes into it, and I think that's one of the main key components to buyers, and I think there would be more buyers on the market if that education could be out.
Yeah, there's so many amazing loan programs out there for people that are in different scenarios financially, but also just based on their personal situation, maybe the career that they have, or different things that they're involved in, where you can put less money down. I feel like people don't understand how many opportunities there are out there.
Every real estate transaction is different, totally different. So what I can say to buyers is just reach out, let me know your situation, and we can kind of go through the steps, whether you need credit repair, whether you're a first-time homeowner, whether you are a seasoned homeowner and you're upgrading to your next home. Every situation is different, so just reach out and let's go through it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Bryce is actually bringing in a lender that he partners with on a lot of transactions. I feel like that'd be something that would be fascinating to people, like learning about the relationship between the real estate agent side of things, the lender side of things, and how they work in tandem to get people to the closing table. So I'm excited to listen to that one later this week. All right, what's one thing that every seller should know, something that they should be prepared for at the onset of the transaction, maybe something that you tell your seller clients when you're getting ready to work together?
I think when a seller is getting ready to sell their house, it's very comparative. We compare ourselves and the things we have to everybody else in the neighborhood, our friends and such. Your house is different than your neighbor's house. You can't always expect to get everything out of your house that your neighbor just got out of their house. So I think that's important. Trust your real estate agent. Trust that they are looking at the comparables, and understand that when you're ready to put your house on the market, the house is no longer yours. We got to remove the personal stuff. It's not that we don't like it, and it's kind of difficult sometimes to say, do you mind getting rid of this, or putting this in another room, or putting this in a closet, because it's really not helping sell the house. I'm a very honest person. It's probably one of my downfalls is somebody asks me my opinion. I have opinions. And so I think for a seller, it can be a good and bad thing. I think those are probably, some of the important things to tell a seller.
Yeah, and that's what ultimately seller clients need. They need someone who's going to be honest with them, not somebody who's just people pleaser. Oh, yeah, I think that looks all right. You can keep it there.
Right.
Someone who's going to help them, go to bat for them, help them sell their house for as much money as possible.
Right.
That's ultimately caring for your client.
Right.
What keeps you motivated on days where nothing's going right? Deals are falling through. You're showing 50 houses. What keeps you motivated on those days?
I think because I'm passionate about what I'm doing and knowing that I'm an all or nothing person, I will be successful. I am successful in the things that I choose to do. This isn't my first or second business endeavor, and they all center around people and helping people and having the knowledge for them. So I think, there are difficult days. Not every day do you have a deal going on. Not every day do you have, checks being cashed in the bank. There tends to be a lot of time in between starting to work with a client until, it actually comes to fruition. I think just taking, one step at a time and plugging away at it, and social media posts and getting buyers and sellers that way. There's just a lot of things that go into it. So it's just taking one step at a time and doing something today.
What are you most proud of in your real estate career so far?
I think I am proud that, I have the ability to listen to clients and think about their needs. And I think it's also awesome that I do have a creative mind, and I may not know how to put it together, but I see what's right and what's wrong. And in a design or in a house, I think those probably would be my attributes. Listening to the clients and being passionate about what I do.
Yeah, you got to have that passion.
Right.
Especially in a career like real estate, where it can be an emotional roller coaster.
Right.
That's what's going to keep you going.
Right.
All right. Any final words that you'd like to share for anyone that's looking to buy or sell a home?
For anyone who's looking to buy or sell, again, just reach out. Every situation is different. You may not think you have the money. You may not think you have the credit score. There's answers for everything. There's a path to home ownership. I do believe everybody deserves to have to own a home in America, and there's paths to that. So don't hesitate to reach out, ask those questions. Don't feel stupid. The conversation doesn't have to go anywhere. Get your questions answered. That's all I can say.